Hello and welcome to another video. This is the Elm Bar Tub. We've got an interesting one for you here. This game actually has a title in Russian, so I'll give you that and the translation or rough translation into English. This is Pnevmo Capsula Domiki, and roughly translated, as I say, is a pneumatic blast capsule. A strange name for a game perhaps, but a quick read through of the description on Steam. The action of the steampunk game Pnevmo Capsula Domiki takes place in Russia of the 70s. The player controls a tiny capsule moving along the rails. Solve puzzles to find your way out of the level. This was released a couple of months ago, so pretty new, and it's developed and published by Polmeshkin Valentin Igorovich. I'm not even going to bother with the game settings here. It's literally just a screen resolution and whether or not you want music, so I'll just ignore that. The game itself, so you play the role of a small capsule on wheels. You're like a big battery, and you go around and you have to interact with objects to get yourself out of the room you might be in or through into the next part of the track that you don't have access to. And you interact with things like light bulbs, machinery, those sort of things. And what you do is you hold down your space bar and it charges you up, and then once you've generated enough static current or electric current, that then allows you to use the machine or item you're trying to interact with. And subsequently, for some of them, you can then use the up-down keys to do something with those items as part of solving those puzzles. I was really drawn to this game because of the way it looked in screenshots and videos. It looked fantastic, sort of steampunk effect with sort of a Russian theme to it, so I thought this was going to be absolutely brilliant. However, I think the visuals, as good as they are, the gameplay itself is unfortunately let down. First of all, with the gameplay side of things being let down, I think the controls don't often work along with the camera angles. So you will use the up, down, left, right, or WASD keys to move along the tracks. As you move around, the camera moves with you, and you have no control over the camera. I would love to have had control over the camera just to see what exactly was going on in the full scene, to see if that would impact my puzzle solving. But no, you can't do that, unfortunately. You are literally directed as per the camera based on where you are on the track at any one time, which is a bit disappointing. That in itself can be very clunky. The camera will sort of glitch between angles, so as you go from one to another, sometimes it will jump rather than a nice smooth transition. So that in itself was fairly disappointing as well. Another thing coupled with that kind of thing is if you were holding the right arrow, for example, to initially move yourself right along the tracks, and the camera angle changes, so right is no longer right, but it's actually left. If you keep hold of that right button, you end up going back in the direction you came from if the camera angle is turned around on its head, so to speak, because that then effectively takes you the other way, the way you came. You can use the up and down arrows instead, but again, it just feels a little bit clunky, not very satisfying to operate. The puzzles themselves are probably designed for brain-dead adults or children, to be quite honest, and I don't think that was the intention here. This isn't a children's game. There's no way that anybody would want to be involved in this as a child. I don't think wouldn't capture the imagination, but no, it's definitely aimed at adults, and the puzzles themselves are very, very simple and repetitive. All there are really, in terms of puzzle types, are these little weird dial box things where you have to enter 4 digits, and you can obtain those 4 digits from surrounding text or surrounding bits of information that are so easy to get hold of. It's never difficult to get hold of those 4 numbers, and it's all there is to it. And the other ones are barriers to the track itself, so sometimes you can't get through barriers, and there's like a force field there, and you have to go and find the source of the force field by moving tracks. So tracks can go left, right, up, down, and you can manipulate which rail you want to go along by, again, using your electric charge to change the tracks. And once you've got a certain sequence of track orders, you find the source of this force field, and you can switch it off, again, by holding the space bar and getting rid of those, and you go back to where you were, and you can go through the force field to the next bit. So that's effectively what all of the puzzles are. I don't think there's actually anything different. It's just literally obtain some numbers, put them in on machines, and switch lights off. In itself, though, I would say as a puzzle is actually the direction of travel, because as I say, you can change the manipulation of the track, or sorry, you can change and manipulate the track direction. So you've got multiple different ways you can go, as I say, and you can switch based on which direction you want to go. So sometimes it might mean you have to go back and go in a different way to try and find your way. But genuinely, there's no difficulty to this. You can't get lost. You don't have to use your brain. And I completed the game within about an hour and a half, something like that, something crazy. So simple and really boring, which is disappointing because I feel this has a lot of potential. When you end the game, you just get sucked into this big old spaceship, Russian aircrafty type weird thing that they've got flying around, and it looks like your vehicle that you've been driving around the whole time just gets taken into this big grid. And I actually think that I don't know if this is right, but I feel like you're some sort of part of a nuclear reactor. That's how it feels, just as you get taken into this spaceship. So there's no story to this. There's no explanation as to any of this. And to be honest with you, it would be cool if there was a storyline to it. Although there's no narration or text that explains what's happening, you could use the puzzles in a way to narrate a story. It could be done. I don't know of such a game where you could, but you know, I think this has so much of a unique feel anyway. I mean, how many games are steampunk 1970s Russia when you play as a little electrical thing on wheels on a rail track? There aren't any games like that, so there's nothing to compare it to. But it would just be nice if there was some sort of explanation as to what the hell was going on, why you are this particular thing. But anyway, it's overall quite disappointing. The music is pretty cool over the background, sort of some sort of electro pop even. And as I say, visually it looks really nice. But just let down by the gameplay, to be honest. And I can't rate this very highly, sadly, and didn't get barely any time on it. So yeah, overall, a disappointing one for me. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will, of course, see you in the next one. Take care.